how I would reduce expenditures to live, right? Okay. So what I would do, yeah, close those. Hopefully my phone doesn't fall because those break too easy. That's one of the things right there, right? Okay. So how I would reduce the cost of living is, first off, I would suggest that instead of us growing just grass, we grow some food, right? It's fun too. I mean, grass is kind of boring. I never liked mowing it, uh, and I didn't like growing it, and I didn't like watering it. And I didn't like doing all of these things that it requires to grow grass. But when it gives me back an investment, or I guess a return on my investment, because everything's an investment. It's just, are we investing in things that matter, or are we investing in things that don't? Right. And so what we've been investing in is the standard American dream house too. And they catch on fire, and they take a lot of maintenance, and they are expensive to heat or cool, or I mean, they're just and to buy it, right, or to rent it. They're expensive, and it's expensive to rent them because it's expensive to maintain them, right? And it's a market where supply and demand is promoting $1,500 or $3,000 a month as a living expense just for shelter. So a couple of my solutions are to grow our own food and using residential neighborhoods, um, using public areas, doing these things that make sense, right? And so when we have food growing locally in abundance, that's going to lower the bills that we have at the grocery store, right? Because that's not as efficient as it should be, right? I mean, they've got huge rooftops that are empty, but yet the food is only coming from farms, right? And food can grow everywhere that we have soil and water and sunlight and seeds. So the two major things that I would focus on, well, three major things, right? Okay, so we have food security when we grow it locally, and it is less expensive, much less expensive, right? Because like free is better than for a fee, right? Because that makes sense. As far as shelter, right? There's a lot of ways to build shelter, and let's see here. Um, One of the ways to build shelters is to stack up rocks, right? I mean, maybe bigger rocks than what I've done here for this little retaining wall, but you use bigger rocks, and you can stack them up, and they don't burn. And rocks don't really cost much if you just pull them out of the dirt, because that's where they come from, you know, or or out of the river, or whatever. I mean, we can be doing things in a way that really makes sense. And there's alternatives. There's if you've never heard of an earth ship, I think you'd be pleasantly surprised to see that people are building beautiful homes out of glass bottles and tires and straw bales and um, really, really neat things that, like the bottles and the concrete and the tires and stuff. Those are pretty sustainable because there's a lot of them available, and when used in the right way, you don't even realize that it was tires that has built the structure of your home. But there's a lot of options out there in different construction methods. The other option is it's really a lot less expensive outside of cities rather than in cities, and the longer the dirt road, the cheaper the property, right? So anyway, so that's a couple of my solutions, is to really hit it at the roots, because at the roots we find the basic aspects of life are very expensive, because that's just the way That's just the way we've been advertised to live, right? So luckily, there are solutions to the problems that we have, and once we start implementing those with our energy, we're going to start seeing that. I promised I'd maybe even hit on another point: healthcare, right? And my belief, my perception is that healthcare is a personal responsibility. Right now, we are exporting our responsibilities to somebody else, and by doing that, we're suffering. Uh, we have a lot of problems with obesity, which is leading to diabetes and heart conditions. We have problems with, well, there's just a lot of health problems, right? And what we might remember or become aware of is that these come on these health conditions are often resulting from stress, and we may not immediately make a connection between stress and disease, but if you take into consideration that ease is the opposite of stress, right? And so if we're experiencing stress, we are experiencing dis-ease, right? And if we're experiencing dis-ease in our mind, there's going to be a stress present. And in that, people are going to manage it in the best way they know how. And some people are choosing fast food. Some people are choosing alcohol or cigarettes, or some are choosing street drugs, or they're choosing entertainment to distract them from their day-to-day life, right? And so these spaces that we live in, if we can make them to where they're natural or more natural, I mean, something that works, something that's healthy, abundant, it helps us to maintain our peace of mind, right? Because when we're in abundance, we don't need to try to uh, gather from somebody else the things that we need in our life. So to maintain stress and to maintain our health care, where I was going with that is, so if a person is stressed, their mind is in dis-ease, and that in the ways in which they uh, try to maintain that or manage their stress, it can cause physical ailments, right? I mean, so if we're always consuming smoke of various kinds, or if we're always consuming foods that our great grandparents wouldn't recognize as food, we might also be experiencing diseases that our grandparents didn't recognize as ailment. So anyway, yeah. So if you really want to see change in the world, we elect the Mad Monk as president. And if I were to become president, because I'm of the people, I am for the people, I am one of you. I've I grew up, we were in poverty, right? And I live in poverty now. I make much less than uh, I make much less than most people who live in a city. But yet I have an abundance that people who in the city don't have, right? I have an abundance of space that I've been working to create gardens, right? I've taken desert wasteland and I'm turning it into an oasis. I'm transforming myself from a stressed out, angry, a stressed out, angry white guy, get off my lawn, to welcoming people into my space and helping them to navigate the right now, teaching meditation and yoga, and using my ministry as my tool, right? I mean, that's my vehicle. And when we realize we're only here temporarily, we should do the best that we can, right? We should do the best that we can. Oh, that's another option right down there, like an old schoolie. I mean, the government paid lots and lots of money for those buses, right? And they're safe and they're pretty solid. And that one's like a 1978 model, but it still runs just fine. And the inside of it, if you take out all the seats, lots of room to create a living room, right? And a bedroom, and a kitchen room, and a living room. And all of these rooms that we need to have can be um, uniquely created in different ways than what we've been advertised, that can truly create freedom, right? So when we stop spending so much to live, we're more free, right? Because when it doesn't cost much, it's free, right? But we say that we're free, but yet it costs so much on every level to exist. So, hey, well, like, share, and subscribe if you think that those ideas might work, because they've worked elsewhere for other people. And if we implement the things that work for other people, we're going to bring in a new day that everyone else isn't forced to pay.